Hey there, creepy peeps, and welcome to another stale movie review. Today we are talking about Frontiers. Really quick though, before I get into anything, I want to say thank you to my creepy patron peeps for supporting my channel. Thank you so much. If you want to find out the perks to being a creepy patron peep, you can follow that link in the description. And speaking of creepy patron peeps, as per his perk for being creepy royalty, Azul requested that I review this movie. So thank you so much for your request, Azul. I'm definitely gonna butcher these names, just fair warning. You guys know how it is on this channel. Directed by Xavier Gens and starring Karina Testa, Samuel Le Bihan, and Aurélien Week. The movie follows Parisian activists who flee the capital with a bag full of stolen cash during very intense political riots. The group takes shelter in a family-run motel out in the country, only to discover the inn is run by cannibalistic neo-Nazis. Let's get right into what I liked about this movie. I feel like I genuinely cared about the characters in this movie. I think the writers did a really good job of kind of showing their personalities through their actions and their dialogue. So it's like while the plot was also moving forward, you're also learning about the characters as they do certain things, and I think that's a sign of good writing. And of course, you know, when you're attached to characters, you care about what happens to them, so you care about what happens in the movie. And it just makes it all the more tragic when people start getting butchered, because you don't want to see these characters die. And I also kind of like the little arc that each of them has. The minor characters kind of have similar arcs where it's like you just think they're criminals and punks at the beginning of the movie, and then, you know, as it goes on, you start to care about them and you're like, they're really not bad people. They're just, you know, they're just trying to survive, basically. Karina kicks ass as our main protagonist, Yasmin. I loved her arc. I love the fact that, you know, she is pregnant. That is established. The very beginning of the movie, first lines of dialogue are her talking about being pregnant. And her kind of fight for survival turns from, you know, just getting out of the city to she's legitimately fighting for her life. And it's more like as the movie goes on, she realizes like it could be much worse. She realizes that especially the family that wants her child, like she sees what kind of family her child could potentially grow up in if she doesn't fight her way out of there. So it's like she thought the riot and the political situation in Paris were bad, but there are much worse environments that her child could grow up in. And instead of just kind of like giving up, she's like, no, I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that my child does not ever have to meet this family. Speaking of the cannibalistic family, I was fascinated by them. I kind of saw it as like a French version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, complete with even a kind of batshit crazy dinner scene. Maybe not, it's not exactly the same as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I feel like the level of crazy was almost comparable. I loved the character Eva the most. It's revealed by her to Yasmin that she kind of came to the family the same way Yasmin did, like where she was kidnapped and brought into the family and forced to have children with one of the male members of the family. But I think she serves as a prime example for Yasmin of like, this is gonna happen to me. This is gonna happen to my child because they know I'm pregnant. I can't let this happen. And it kind of, they're kind of mirrors to each other as well, Eva and Yasmin, because we have Eva who, sorry, spoiler alert, although this movie is 11 years old, so I don't feel too bad. We have Eva who refuses to leave the inn or the farm, wherever out in the country where the family stays, even though Yasmin has killed all of them. She refuses to leave because of all of her children that she has there that are kept in like the tunnels and things like that. And she refuses to leave, and that was the whole reason why she never ran away in the first place, never ever tried to escape, because of her children. And even though they're they kind of established that they're kind of messed up or something like that, she still loves them, and it's still like a mother's, you know, love, and she has to stay for them. She can't just run away and abandon them, because it's not really their fault that they were brought into this world. It was the family's fault. So I liked that. And you know, Yasmin is kind of like the flip side of that, where she's like, well, I gotta get out of here for the sake of my child. So it's like they kind of understand each other, but they just take two different paths. That being said, though, let's get into what I didn't like about the movie. Out of all the French extremist movies I've seen, I feel like this one kind of felt the most pointless. I know what you're thinking, because I just mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, if you think about it, is kind of pointless, and pointless in the sense that it's a group of kids that just happen across this family. They weren't targeted by the family, like they just happen to interact, and that's how they become targets. There's no other reason for them to be targeted by this family other than they were in the area. And that's kind of the same way that this movie works. Like the kids just happen to, you know, need a place to stay, so they go to this inn, and that's what makes them victims, not because the family actually sought them out. But I'm also comparing this movie to other films of like the new French extremity that I've seen, like Martyrs, like Inside, where they are just as violent, although I would say this movie is a bit gorier, maybe not as much as Inside, or even Martyrs. Actually, you know, it's hard to compare them. It's just as violent, but Martyrs and Inside, I don't know, it just felt like more of a purpose, even if it was a completely f***ed up purpose. The family, as fascinated as I was by them, I didn't really get. They're just kind of like, I don't know, I just felt like they were all a bit too random. Like, oh, they're neo-Nazis, and they also run an inn, and they also like to eat human flesh. Why? And I don't know, they're just like way more questions I had. And I feel like Inside and Martyrs and other French extreme movies that I've seen do kind of a better job of giving you this hyper violence and also creating like a logical explanation for it. Like, here's why these villains are doing this. And that kind of makes the violence harder to watch, because there is a reason. It doesn't feel as senseless, and that's scarier because you have a killer or a group of killers that have a purpose for doing this awful thing that they're doing. And this one kind of felt more Americanized in a way, where it's just like, it felt more like senseless violence. And that's just not what I expect with new French extremity films. So, was Frontiers worth it, or Frontiers worth it? Frontier. It's been a while since I had French, I don't know. Personally, I'm gonna say not really worth it compared to other French extreme films. I would recommend watching any of those, at least the ones that I've seen, over this one. Yeah, it's definitely not the best one that I've seen. So I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5 because of that. On IMDb, it's got a 6.3 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 55% critic score and a 53% audience score. And on Letterboxd, it has a 3 out of 5. So I watched this movie on Amazon. So if you head over to my blog, which there's a link for in the description, there is a page on there which is Amazon affiliate store, and it has affiliate links to rent all of the movies that I watched this month so far on it. So you can use that link if you want to rent the movie and give it a watch. There's no pressure to use that link, but if you do, it does help out the channel a little bit, so it's there. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here and become a Creepy Peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday, and you can ring that notification bell down there to be notified every time I post a video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye.